So instead of there being a DA to prosecute these companies, you've got the trial lawyers, and that's what we do. And we go out there. To prosecute them effectively, we've got to have a fair jury who's going to sit down and listen to it and either say thumbs up, what they did is okay, or thumbs down, what they did is wrong, and they deserve to pay. And that's what we do. We prosecute. Now the problem comes up in that the criminals or the companies that we're prosecuting, they have a lot of money. They have a lot of media savvy. And so what they do is they get up there and they try and vilify the lawyers so that the company itself doesn't have to bear responsibility. They try and persuade the public that the trial lawyers are the greedy people. Don't get me wrong. Trial lawyers can make a lot of money doing what they do. They have to make a lot of money. I'll give you an example, Joe. We fought the Vioxx wars against the company Merck. I tried 3 Vioxx cases. It cost my law firm $12 million almost to try those 3 cases. Merck, on the other hand, the company that makes Vioxx, Merck spent $1 billion in attorney's fees and expenses. They're buying the best experts, the best exhibits, the best document analysts, the best witnesses, the best lawyers. They're buying the best that money can buy. And I assure you, none of us want to go up in a war against them where we're taking anything less than the very best, someone who, if you can't stand toe-to-toe with them, can at least stay in the ring. And you got to have lawyers who can make enough money to be able to do that, because it takes literally millions upon millions of dollars to fight these multi-billion-dollar companies.
And even with your victories, you know, one of the things that people don't understand out there is a verdict, to hold on to it, because a lot of them, and I'm not trying to degrade or trying to insult any justice on the Supreme Court or any judge in Texas, but the trend has been more conservative verdicts or remitting down or reducing verdicts. And to hold on to that, a lot of people say, well, he made a lot of money for these people, but they don't understand the appellate process. And a lot of these companies have started to say, well, bring it on, because we're just going to appeal it. And I've gotten it in writing, I'm sure as well as you have, that have said, well, you know, with the conservative courts and we appeal this, take less, you know, because we're confident we can get this overturned. And how do you respond to that sort of, I say it's bullying or trying intimidation tactics, saying that our courts, higher courts, will reverse it, a decision?
Well, we do have a frightful situation. The statistics don't lie. We've got a situation in Texas right now where our appellate courts rule for the defendant, rule for the company, more times than basically in the history of Texas. It's so disproportionately against the plaintiffs. And there are lawyers who play on this. One lawyer in particular was telling me about a case where he went to a mediation, which is an effort to settle a case without going to trial. And each side made their presentation. And the lawyer for the victim had a very good case. The facts were in his favor. The law was in his favor. The damages were very serious, very significant. And my lawyer friend made his presentation. It took about 20 minutes, and he had this pretty PowerPoint slide, you know, had the video footage, had the whole thing. Then the lawyer for the company got up, the defense attorney, and he gave a presentation that had 9 pictures. The 9 pictures were the 9 members of the Texas Supreme Court. And that lawyer said, I don't care if the law is on your side. I don't care if the facts are on your side. I don't care if you deserve to win. We have the 9 judges of the Texas Supreme Court that will never let your verdict stand. Now, that lawyer hopefully is wrong, but that perception is there. And statistically, that lawyer's right many, many more times than he is wrong, statistically. And so it's a very discouraging thing. It's the reason voters really need to educate themselves before they go out there and just vote for these judges. They really need to educate themselves. Call Joe, get his phone number, but figure out how to educate yourselves and learn who these judges are before you go out there and vote for them, because they truly do change your life.
Well, you have brought up something, and I just read, I was at an airport, picked up a book, and I picked up The Appeal by Dr. Grisham.
Yes.
And I read it, and, a lot of what he said in there was scary because it's true. And I said, this sounds like Texas, where a lot of the special interest groups have poured a lot of money into getting the judges that are more conservative, that are for big business. And I think a lot of people are getting marginalized. We don't have, everybody says, oh, there are too many lawyers. Well, my response is there's not enough lawyers for the poor. There's not enough lawyers to help people out. And part of your organization, Christian Trial Lawyers Association, which we're going to talk about in the second half, people that come to you, and time again, we try to explain that they want to try to outlaw the contingency agreement. And for our viewers out there, can you explain how you work with someone that comes and says, my child is dead, I'm penniless, I can't afford a lawyer of your caliber?
Well, sure. We had a family come to us and they said, here is we bought this dresser for our toddler's room. And it's advertised as a dresser for children. And it's not so tall that the children can't open all the drawers, but it truly is for a toddler's room. The dresser was made in such a way where it's very top heavy. And if you don't have things in the bottom drawer, but you have them in the top, and you pull that top drawer all the way, the dresser, if it's not bolted to the wall or something, the dresser will fall down. And this toddler had reached up and pulled himself up by the dresser, and the dresser had fallen down and killed the toddler. Oh. And the family came to us and said, shouldn't the company be warning people? Shouldn't they have told, we'd have bolted it on the wall if we had known we were supposed to, or we'd have put stuff in the bottom drawer, or heavens, we'd have never bought it for our toddler's room. Shouldn't this company be warning? Because these are still out there being sold. We said, absolutely. They said, would you represent us? Now, I know this couple from church, and while I don't mean anything disparaging, the bottom line is there's no way they could afford us to take that case. They could not afford to pay a lawyer to do it. The expenses alone in a case like that, if you have to try it, are over $150,000. If you have that kind of money lying around, you're not just buying one of these ordinary dressers down at your local department store that seems to carry a little bit of everything. And the only way they're able to take it is to come to lawyers who have enough resources, who have enough expertise, and the lawyers say, look, we'll take the case. If we're able to win you some money, we'll take our third of that, or whatever the cut is in that situation. As far as the expenses in developing the case, we'll put our own money into it. If we wind up winning, we get that paid back out of whatever we win. But if we don't win, you're not out a penny. Now, that's the way it's set up in America to work in most of these cases. Joe, you do that. We do that. A number of great lawyers in your listening area do that. And that's about the only way most folks have a chance of going in and fighting against these companies. It's almost the only way. Of course, that's why the companies want to strip that right from you. And what amazes me is how some of the politicians who have actually made their mark as politicians, they've made their mark saying, we believe in free enterprise. We believe in a limited government. We believe in the right of people to do as people choose. Those are the very same people telling you and me that we don't have a right to make a contract and negotiate a deal. Those are the very same people who are looking out for the corporate interests that will deny 70% of Americans the chance of ever hiring a lawyer to represent them, and basically protecting their stocks and their company interests. We should never let that happen. Do not let any politician let that happen.
Well, very well said. We've got a few minutes left, but in those minutes, I want to stay in on this point, is that also we've talked about people that don't have the money or the resources, and that's why contingency agreements are so important. But the other groups that are against lawsuits and call it all lawsuit abuse, except when companies sue other companies, then it's a lawsuit. It's not lawsuit abuse. But when you have that, they're saying, well, Mark, what's good? What good is money? What's it worth? I mean, they're going to go blow it anyway. People that didn't have it, they're going to get a settlement. Their mother, their child, someone's dead, and they're just getting money. I mean, how do you respond to that mentality that says, well, what good is money for? It's not going to bring them back. It's not going to make a difference. And then all of our insurance rates are going to go up. How do you respond to that barrage that has brainwashed people in our society?